Racist Cop Mistakes Black Homeowner for a Burglar. Chapter 1. The Call. The night air was still, the kind of stillness that feels like it's listening. Maple Avenue lay half asleep under a pale moon, porch lights glowing like islands. Inside house number 47, David Grant sat at his desk, the soft blue light of his laptop painting his face. Emails, deadlines, the quiet hum of a dishwasher in the background, the language of an ordinary night. Then, clang. A sound too sharp, too deliberate. He froze mid-keystroke, another sound, metal bending, the latch of his garage door twitching. David rose slowly, heartbeat drumming in his ears. Through the blinds, he saw it, a silhouette under the carport light, tall, hooded, moving with purpose. He whispered to himself, "No, not tonight." His wife and son were asleep upstairs. He grabbed his phone. 911, what's your emergency? "There's someone outside my garage," he said, barely above a whisper. "He's trying the handle." "Stay inside, sir. We're dispatching units now." He clicked off the call, double-checked the locks, and stood near the window, watching that shadow. Each second stretched. Then, distant sirens. Relief. He exhaled. Flashing red and blue lights painted his living room walls like salvation arriving. But as the cruiser pulled up, something felt wrong. The officers didn't go toward the garage. Their flashlights swung toward the front window, toward him. The relief evaporated, replaced by confusion. He stepped outside to wave, to explain. That's when the shouting started. Chapter 2. "Misread, sir!" "Step away from the house." The command cut through the night like a siren itself. David froze. "What? I'm the homeowner. I'm the one who..." "Hands where we can see them. Now!" "Wait, I called you." "Down on your knees. Now!" He looked from one officer to the other. Their hands hovered near their weapons, eyes sharp, scanning for danger, and somehow they saw it in him. In that second, instinct battled disbelief. He wanted to shout, to argue, to point to his ID, but he'd seen the news. He knew how fast fear could rewrite a story, so he obeyed. Slowly, carefully, knees to the damp grass, palms open to the cold night air. A flashlight beam hit his face. "Keep your hands where I can see them." He heard the crunch of boots behind him, the zip of a handcuff case opening. Metal clicked against his wrists. The humiliation was instant, searing. From the ground, he could still hear the faint voice from his phone lying in the grass. "Officers, the caller is the homeowner." "Repeat, the caller is the homeowner." They didn't react. One officer spoke into his radio. "Possible suspect detained, continuing search." David tried to lift his head. "I'm the one who..." A boot nudged his shoulder. "Quiet, sir." He felt the weight of centuries pressing into that single word. Question. When the people you trust to protect you see threat instead of truth, what's left to believe in? Chapter 3. The Real Intruder. A third squad car arrived, engine idling low, headlights sweeping the yard. Sergeant Miller stepped out, calm, deliberate, a man who'd seen panic ruin good judgment before. "What do we have?" The younger officer gestured toward David. "Suspect on premises, possible burglary attempt. Refused to comply." Miller's gaze tightened. "Name? David Grant." Silence. Then a slow shake of the head. "Dispatch said David Grant called this in." A flicker of realization crossed the younger officer's face. "Oh, sir, are you sure?" Before the question finished, a sharp crash split the night, glass shattering from behind the garage. Every head turned. A shadow vaulted the fence, the same hooded figure, crowbar in hand, sprinting into the alley. "That's your guy!" Miller barked. "Move!" Flashlights swung, boots pounded against concrete, and in seconds the quiet suburban street turned into a chase scene. Moments later, two officers returned, dragging a man in torn jeans and panic-filled eyes. The crowbar clattered to the ground. Miller turned back to David, still on his knees. "Get those cuffs off him. Now!" The metal released with a hollow snap. David rubbed his wrists, skin raw and burning. One officer stammered, "Sir, we thought..." David didn't answer. He just looked at the intruder being loaded into the back of the cruiser and wondered which of them had truly stolen more from him tonight. Chapter 4. The Quiet Apology. Inside, the kitchen smelled of burnt coffee and tension. The clock ticked too loud. David sat at the table, wrists red, a trembling mug untouched before him. His wife stood by the doorway, robe pulled tight, face pale with disbelief. Their teenage son peeked down from the stairs, silent, eyes wide. One of the officers lingered near the counter, helmet tucked under his arm. "Sir, we apologize. It was a misunderstanding." David's voice was low, steady, too calm to be safe. "No, it wasn't misunderstanding. It was assumption. The officer looked down, guilt heavy in his silence. Sergeant Miller stepped forward, removing his cap. I'm sorry, Mr. Grant. This shouldn't have happened. Not like that. David met his eyes. You can't fix what you don't face. For a long second, the room held its breath. Then Miller nodded, slowly. You're right. Outside, the last cruiser pulled away, leaving only the echo of tires on wet asphalt. David sat still long after they were gone, staring at the faint red marks on his wrists. Proof of how fast innocence can turn into evidence. Chapter 5. The Aftermath. Weeks passed. The bruises faded, but the memory stayed. Then one morning his phone buzzed with a link. A friend had sent him dashcam footage. His night, now public. No commentary, no edits, just truth. The video spread like wildfire. Comment sections lit up. Some furious, some defensive, some finally listening. Reporters called, activists reached out. But David wanted no fame, no statement. He only wanted understanding from the people who had misjudged him. Then, one Friday evening, a knock at his door. He opened it to find two men standing awkwardly in plain clothes. The same officers. No badges, no power, just remorse. Mr. Grant, one began, voice trembling, we wanted to apologize, properly. David studied them. The instinct to slam the door flickered, but so did something else. Compassion. He stepped aside. Come in. They sat. No cameras, no witnesses, just honesty in the quiet. The younger one said, I saw fear that night, and I let it guide me, I'm sorry. David looked at him. Fear's natural. Bias is learned, you can unlearn it. Silence followed, not awkward but necessary. Three men, sitting in the wreckage of a moment that could have ended far worse, trying to build something new. Chapter 6. The Lesson. Months later, the department made changes. Every officer had to confirm homeowner identity through dispatch before approach. Bias awareness training became mandatory, not optional. And the chief, at Sergeant Miller's urging, opened monthly community dialogues. At one of them, in the high school auditorium, Miller took the stage. He spoke not as a leader, but as a learner. We can't rebuild trust from the top down, he said. It starts when each of us pauses long enough to see, not assume. Applause rose, hesitant at first, then steady. In the back row sat David Grant. No spotlight, no bitterness, just quiet conviction. When a neighbor beside him whispered, that was brave of him to say, David nodded. It's brave to admit what's broken, braver to fix it. As he left the hall, he looked up at the same moon that had watched that terrible night. It felt different now, softer, maybe even forgiving. I called for help that night, he murmured to himself. Turns out, we all needed it. If you believe respect should never depend on color or uniform, type C before you act. Because justice doesn't begin with sirens, it begins with seeing. If you stayed with me until the end, type the word justice in the comments so I know you believe in truth too. And if this story inspired you, make sure you like, share, and subscribe because we have many more uplifting stories coming your way.